Well, boys and girls, here we are. We are at the beginning. This is like one, two, three, four, five. This is like episode 5. We are in the middle from the end of July all the way through August, nonstop. We're doing like probably a year's worth of interviews in about a month. We're going crazy on SCP. But look who we have. It's a fine Tuesday evening, post work. We hate the work day, but we love to talk to the talents. And look who we have. I don't know what I'm going to get out of this kid. This could be interesting. This is Stir in the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, one Johnny Pierce. Thank you for coming on and spending the time with us, the fans on STP, my friend.
Thank you for having me. First time on the podcast here. Very thankful to be here. It's gonna be interesting, Don. I got a story to tell.
That's what we love. Now, I'm gonna start off real quick because, boys and girls, look at him. He's gorgeous. He's young. He's fit. He's got the physique. He's a big dude. Now, I've never really met Mr. Pierce per se in the ring. I just want to go real quick to our first meeting, if that's okay, sir.
Let's go. Let's go.
Myself and my love, Cindy Hart. She is an upcoming ring announcer right now, part of the starting the Heart Squad. Love it. But anywho, we go up to New Hampshire, if you will, ish area, and we went, grabbed a hotel, had a good time, made a road trip, and went to the show. And who do I see very first before I even walk in the door? Never met this kid before. Is one big, beautiful, young physique, Johnny Pierce. He's working the door, and he's looking very serious. So I look at Cindy, and I go, do you know that kid over there? She goes, no. And I go, we're about to meet him because I'm going to fuck with him. And she goes, are you serious already? We didn't even get inside yet. I go, I got you. Don't worry. We won't die, but I'm going to fuck with him. We wait our turn. We get up to Mr. Johnny Pierce. Now he's not taking our money or nothing. He's a strong arm at the door, just checking for weaponry and nefarious characters like this. So I seen him all Mr. Serious and looking over the crowd, and I just start messing with him, and I stirred the pot a little bit. And come to find out, yes sir. Come to find out, there was a relationship. On the flip side, before that, at that time, there was a relationship with a couple jackasses that I really can't stand. That's being Buff Inc. collectively, the Buff Dad and Two Buff, father son collectively. Hate them sons of bitches. But anywho, we kind of had a little conversation about that, and you were not Team Buff Inc. Now we have a good time at APW. My love and myself, we take off. We go our separate ways between our lives and Mr. Pierce's lives. Now, very recently, son of a bitch, very recently, Shut Up and Wrestle, and I know I'm yakking here, very recently at Shut Up and Wrestle 23 in Holyoke, Massachusetts, here comes walking through the door as the next guy who walks through that door is going to be Jiggy Sosa's tag team partner. It's Johnny Pierce. I'm like, yes, we've got some backup for Jiggy Sosa. But it didn't turn out as such. Now, I'm going to stop there.
Okay.
Mr. Pierce, I've been yakking a little bit because we all know I can do that. Please, what I just kind of painted the picture of, could you go back to when we first met and talk us through how you felt?
I can and I will. So at the time when we first met, I had quite the beef with Buff Inc. It just so happened that it took 2 men to eliminate me from a battle royal. I had already eliminated 3 by myself. Okay. And those 2 men were Buff Inc. Buff Dad and Two Buff. And how it happened was I had Two Buff above my head, raised up as I normally do. Yeah. And his Buff Dad came up behind me, and gave me a low blow.
Oh, wow, what a surprise.
But I'm supposed to believe that they don't cheat. And anyway, they eliminated me from a battle royal that I was most certainly going to win to earn a future like title opportunity at a brand new promotion. So that was my first impression there.
Okay.
Getting eliminated by them.
Okay.
I held that grudge for quite some time, and then they presented me with an opportunity, and I felt that if I couldn't beat them, I might as well join them because money talks and BS walks.
That brings us to Shut Up and Wrestle 23. This past Shut Up and Wrestle. I tried. I was, boys and girls, I got snookered on this one. There was a deal made with myself and one Johnny Pierce. If you were to put, and this is a deal, and I swear, word for word. I'm not making this up, and you know me, I wouldn't do crazy things. But the deal was, if you put two buff in a local medical facility, you could make an appearance on STP. Well, Shut Up and Wrestle 23, as I was stating earlier, he comes out, big dude, young, physique, looks like he's going to take care of some business against two buff and the buff dad there. And I'm going to say maybe 7-8 minutes or so into the match, our present special guest right now turned on one Jiggy Sosa, the heart of the city. He turned on Jiggy Sosa, his partner, and it seems like, and if you look at the footage on my YouTube channel, you can see that he's wearing. Oh no, that was way post event. Ended up wearing this damn Buff Inc. Merch, and it looked absolutely ridiculous on you. First off, second off, are you now a member of?
Oh, I got the shirt. I got.
Oh, wow! Why did I even have to mention that?
Yeah, well, you did. Now you did. And now you don't do it.
Son of a bitch!
And
now he's putting it on. Oh my God!
I apologize to Buff Inc. because I should have done this ahead of time.
Oh wow!
It just fits so well, and like they say, real men wear pink. So,
well, I didn't mean to spark that fire.
Sweet threads that I got. You came to me with an offer, okay?
Yeah, I did.
And I took an offer that I couldn't refuse. Like they took yours, they matched it, and they called your bluff, they raised it. That's not to say that after the show I didn't put two buff in ICU, because I do things on my own time. I don't do them when you want them. I do them when I want them.
Oh,
obviously I'm on the podcast, so I did get him in the ICU.
Well, I just figured you were strong arming me into this STP. Are there
that doesn't sound like something I would do.
Yeah, I didn't think you were going to turn on Jiggy Sosa, but here we are. But are there medical records of said ICU visit with you?
Maybe not. It depends who you talk to. There may be documents, there may not be. They may have gotten lost or eaten by my dog.
See, boys and girls, we try to get the proof. The proof is supposed to be in the pudding, and we try to pull the proof, and here we are juking and jiving. Oh yeah. I'm used to that shit with like Honest Abe.
It's there somewhere. I mean, it might take a while to find it, but I can tell you that it's there.
All right.
Dr. Mantis Toboggan.
Well,
take it up with him.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I will Facebook said doctor, or Facebook message said doctor. You wait. You're a big dude and I'm not, so I cannot argue with whatever I'll have to just pick up what you're putting.
You can't hide the truth. All right, the truth will always come out. You can't hide it.
Okay. I didn't want it. I did not want this conversation to be part of Buff Inc., but Jesus, holy Christmas. Now he's wearing the stupid ass merch. And I might as well just point out the beautiful merch that I'm wearing, because my tag team partner, the Mighty Bosch with Sid Morgan, my tag team partners, if you will, collectively, they ran into a hard time, in the personal, behind the scenes, in the personal life. Their apartment burned down, and this merch right here, this is all for support. 100%, every single penny. That every purchase of this shirt goes directly to Bosch, and it's on the heelshit.com. website through Alex Rojas. So, boys and girls, if you love you some Mighty Bosch, my tag team partner, please either go on his page on the Facebook. You know how to find him, the Mighty Bosch with Sid Morgan, or you can type in heelshit.com, or you can look up Alex Rojas on Facebook, Alex Rojas, and he has recently posted this because we're still looking for some help for the Mighty Bosch and Sid Morgan collectively. Love this merch, but I really wanted to wear it specifically just because you joined them little sons of bitches over there in Buff Inc. But I wanted to put that message in there because we all love ourselves some Mighty Bosch. So again, boys and girls, if you're looking for some cool merch, I mean, come on. That's hero shit right there. That's exactly what it says. Hero shit. Great merch. Love the sentiment from one Alex Rojas, the GM of Tesla Strength Wrestling. So please, those deets that I just gave you, rewind just a little bit. Break them down. Write them down. Check them out. Make a little purchase for our friend the Mighty Bosch. It'll really help them out. Okay, enough of my sales pitch. Now, Johnny Pierce, again, you're big, you're young, you have a physique, you have a look. I'm sure the ladies love them, some Johnny Pierce. Talk to us about getting into wrestling because there's a lot of guys that have a good look and a physique that do get into wrestling, but they get lost in the shuffle.
Right.
Now, I originally saw, and I talk about when you come through that door, when you come through that curtain, down that ramp, what you look like to us makes a huge impression. Not if it's a bad heel or face coming through that door, but just the way you look professionally as a professional wrestler.
Right.
You came through, you had jeans on, you had Mariners with a hat on, some glasses. What's with, if you don't mind me asking,
the fire away? Yeah.
It seemed to me that you didn't have gear at this point in time. Is that where we're at?
No, I have gear. The direction was that because of the concept with the match and the stipulation that they wanted it to appear as if I was just an average Joe that was walking into the building just to see the wrestling show as like a fan.
See, that's me, stupid fan right there. That's me. I'm not thinking outside the box. I'm not thinking the psychology of the next guy who walks through that door. We're expecting to be somebody that we already know, that we've seen maybe sometimes over there at Shut Up and Wrestle. But no, we got a very brand new, fresh face. And that was one of the very first things that struck me because those are the things I looked for, was your look. So you presented it like some guy coming off the street. See, boys and girls, I'm a dumb fan.
Well, I gotta shout out, to Buff and Buff Dad. I know they're not your favorite people right now, but they're the ones that ultimately set that opportunity up for me. And I obviously had to get myself over there and put myself in a position, but without them, that wouldn't have happened.
We do jest. There's a lot of stuff that happens within wrestling and out of wrestling. I do see some of the time that they've spent with some of the talent and giving their time, not to the fans. They would never give their time to the fans, believe me. But some of the talent that I've seen, they've definitely given their time. And that's one thing I've seen from a distance because I'm not privy to the locker room and such. But you do feel that, right, my friend?
I do. I met them about a year ago, and we went our separate ways due to a promotion in a school that we were both at closing unceremoniously. And then we reconnected at the NRG shows, and we clicked, we meshed, and we get along. And they've always had my best interests in mind and whatnot. They know a lot of the ups and downs that I've had. And you had asked me about getting involved in wrestling. So I think it was a good segue to get into that.
Absolutely.
It was like 2016. That's not when I got into wrestling, but I was first really thinking about making that decision.
Are you a fan at this point? Are you regularly watching
I'm a huge
wrestling?
fan. Like I'm going to the shows. It's all I talked about. It's all I lived. I breathed it. I slept it. I had the merch. I had the video games. You name it. I was streaming my universe on the PS4 with my, you know what I mean? With my Jim Ross impression, and yeah, it was always wrestling, and I connected with a mutual friend, and I'm going to name drop, and you're most likely going to know him. Danny Miles. He doesn't go by Dynamite anymore. It's more of a Dream Crusher, I believe.
Yes, and talk about Dream Crusher, that chain that he brings to the ring scares the living piss out of me because
Yeah.
that you know me, I boo at the bad guys and I really give them the business, dude. When he comes out and I'm giving them, I don't even know why I'm doing that, just because of the chain. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
His matches are off the chain. So, all right. What had happened was my best friend Jeff had told me about Danny, and because they're from the same hometown, and my dad's from that same hometown, so I figured, hey, I'll message this guy. He's a pro wrestler. If I want to get into pro wrestling, I'll just start with that. I said, hey, I'm mutual friends with this person. My dad's from your hometown. How do you get started? Like, what, you know what I mean? What should I do if I want to do this? And he told me to check out this school and not worry about. He gave me so many good pieces of advice over the years, and the way that I know that it's true is because I asked him for some advice when I first got into wrestling, and then I circled back about 2 or 3 years later and asked him for some more advice, and he gave me the same response, and it was stop worrying so much about the character, focus on the moves. And so I took that to heart, and it took me a long time to actually come up with a character. So that's how I know that that connected. In 2016, towards the end of that year, I was at a low point in my life, pretty depressed, not in good physical shape. I had just got done playing college basketball and was kind of in that what do I do now kind of phase, where I would play in certain men's leagues, but it wasn't like doing what it used to do for me. It wasn't fun anymore. I was miserable. And so when I messaged Danny and he told me what to do, I checked out the school and I went to a fantasy camp, and it was the New England Pro Wrestling Academy in January of 2017.
Okay.
I signed up for a membership. Wasn't consistent. I would be there, take time off, go back, be there, take time off, that kind of thing. And for a while, I was just at that one school, and then I had made a decision to leave and go to a different school, where I trained for about 6 months. We tried to merge two schools to one, so we moved our school from one location to another where they already had a school, and that didn't work out. When that didn't work out, I kind of got, disappointed, and took time off again. I got a new job. I saved up, and I tried to go back to the school I had just left, but they had closed, and that was XWA Kingdom School.
Yeah.
So then I was really like, what do I do now? And so I stopped by at a different school, and I didn't feel like I was progressing, so I made a decision to go to another school. And obviously the pattern here, and the running joke on me is that I've been to every school in New England, which is not it's not true, but it's certainly like getting
it feels like it.
Yeah, it does feel like it. I trained at this other school for like 8 months, got injured, and then my work schedule just didn't coincide with it. So I had made the decision to use a different school as a primary option and the other school as a secondary option. All in all, I've been training for about 5 years now, with the last 2 to 3 years in a row, like consistent, where I haven't really missed any training classes. Yeah, I feel really good at where my level of training is at. So right now, I'm at the Bell Time Club in Wakefield, and things are working out.
Man, I wish I knew that. I would have worn my Bell Time Club shirt.
It's a sick shirt.
It is. I love it. That tribute shirt is beautiful. There's a couple things I want to pull out of there. It's been a process. It's been a road. It seems a tad of a bumpy road for one Johnny Pierce to get to where he's at today.
Yeah. Early on, I was offered a match. Big guy, just getting my feet wet in wrestling about 2 months in, and it did not go well. I wasn't ready. and I didn't know that you had to go through certain channels. So I had showed up at my first show ever, my first independent wrestling show ever. I was asked if I had gear. I said yes. And then on the second match, and when I went back to my school, which was again NEPWA, I was on cloud nine. I had the best class that I ever had, and then I grabbed my trainers and I pulled them aside and I said, "This is what happened over the weekend. I tried to contact people and get any responses, so I panicked and I told the promoter I would do it. It wasn't good, but like if you guys could watch the film, give me feedback, like you know what I mean. I'm receptive to it, and I just want to keep going. And I feel like I never fully rebounded from that moment because they were saying that I went into business for myself or whatever, um, which I don't feel like I did. I feel like looking back, I didn't want to disappoint the promoter. He needed me because four of the wrestlers weren't there.
No, and I just recently, and again, I don't mean to interrupt, but we just very recently spoke of this, the blessing of the trainer
Yeah.
when you're in this training regimen. It's this old school mentality that's kind of gone through the eras of wrestling, no matter where wrestling is at now. It's kind of come with wrestling, if you will, the blessing of the trainer, and I know if you couldn't get a hold of anybody, they might have said then you shouldn't have taken the booking kit or
And then
some
you
shit
don't
like
take it.
that.
Yeah, and then you don't take it.
So I mean that's kind of where they were at, and I'm not saying they were correct or you were correct or whatever is correct, but I'm just saying that's what I know of per se etiquette, of said, so again, I didn't mean to interrupt, I'm sorry.
You're good. So long story short, I didn't take my next match until I want to say 3 years after that because I was so paranoid and scared that that would happen again and I would be, given some, as you quote unquote, heat. Um, so I was very cautious with my next opportunity. It was a good 3 years and some change before I got an opportunity to have a taping at XWA, which I had. I got squashed. Didn't feel good, but there was no crowd, so that was the first time debuting the character Johnny Pierce. Um, Things were said about the match, and it really, lit a fire under my ass. All these little trials and tribulations, being told, "No, you're not ready. You're not good enough." All the negativity has just motivated me. So at some point, like you saw it show up in wrestle. Like at some point, like I'll get opportunities and make the most of them, and all the people that I have an announcement to make if I could.
Again, this is a platform for the talent. That's why we bring them on. This is your platform, my friend. Please hit us because that's what we announcements. Please.
For like obviously many years, I've been trying to get this thing going, and at the end of August, there's a steel cage match, which is styled as like a war games 4-on-4 tag, and Johnny Pierce is in that match. He's been on. I'm on the poster. I've never been on a wrestling poster before, so I think about when I first got into wrestling up until even recently, a month or two ago. People were saying, "You're never gonna make it, kid. Like you're never gonna be a wrestler. You're gonna be a failure. You're no good. All this stuff. You're not ready." And I look at a poster like that, and I say to myself, "I'm on the poster. Damn it! You can't say that now."
Before before I shit myself, please give us the details. What company? Where's it at? The date, if you could release those details.
Of course. Friday, August 20th. I'm gonna cut it promo style. No.
You can do whatever you want.
On Friday, August 26th in Fairhaven, Massachusetts. I know that people get that mixed up with Connecticut. Do not go to Connecticut. You will not see Johnny Pierce in a steel cage in Connecticut. Fairhaven, Mass. At 7 at the New England Ring Gladiators show called Gladiator Games. There are two main events. Shout out to Stephen Lust. He's the champ. He's been a mentor to me. He's facing off against the ace Mike Montero in a steel cage. That's a one-on-one. But not to take anything away from that match, there is a 4-on-4 war game style tag team match between the Hoods and the Heavy Hitters and the Cornerstone, who I've been associated with since February. Yeah. we've just been causing all sorts of havoc on the NRG shows, getting under the skin of the hoods and the heavy hitters. That it was bound to happen this way. So at first, when they made the announcement, we weren't for it. But now I can really sink my teeth. It's a reality. I'm sink my teeth into it, and I'm going to do some damage in that steel cage.
Okay, everybody calm the fuck down right now, because let me pull this shit apart right now. Can't breathe. Holy shit. All right, first off, Stephen Lust, one of my all-time faves. Been watching him since the Middlesex Express. Love everything about him.
How long have you been watching them?
I've only been in indie wrestling for about
5-6 years, right?
Yeah.
When did you first see them?
It was in Rhode Island, because I used to see it was XWA against
What year was it?
Adrenaline Rush.
What year?
2018, I'm gonna say.
All right, you might have me beat, but I met them around that time, because through all my trials and tribulations of wrestling, I've been out injured with different injuries, and that's when I took it upon myself to go to all these indie shows to like scout the competition and see, like, take it all in, because prior to that I'd only been to the one.
Okay.
So I got hurt with a knee injury, and I just started going to every single indie show I could, and that's how I met Steve Lust.
Well, we may have crossed paths and not know it, because XWA, believe it or not, 2 hours. Well, now
I never made it there. I never made it there.
XWA on Thursday nights, and then their bigger shows, obviously. But I was going every single Thursday.
Yeah, it was sick.
I would get out of work at 4 o'clock. I would go pick up my father. I would hit the highway, drive for 2 hours. We would do the XWA. We would drive 2 hours, and then I would go to work the next morning. But man, when I went to that very first one, it was a double cage match, and holy shit sticks. It was actually, the main event was Adrenaline Rush against the Minutemen, Tommy Trainwreck, and Devin Blaze. And the other cage match was Sully versus, who the hell was it? Oh, son of a biscuit. I get Sully Banger against somebody. And that was my guy. Oh, that's because I only care about Sully. But yeah. I was part of the Sully section. If you ever heard of the Sully section?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, you missed the Sully. Holy shit sticks. That was some good times with the Sully section. Holy crap.
I can imagine.
It was me, the old guy, with about anywhere from 2 to maybe a dozen of these younger college kids that made up the Sully section. They sucked me. Yeah, they sucked me in, and we had a blast. Oh my God. But I must have did that for at least a minimum of 6 months straight, every single Thursday, every single XWA show. I was always there. But I didn't mean to get off on this.
No, we were talking about Steve Lust. Yeah.
Yeah, the XWA, my God, it holds a piece of my heart. Stephen Lust versus Mike Montero. Wow. But now let's go down to this War Games type. Break apart. Did you say the Cornerstone? Is that the?
Yes, I'll break them apart, because I'm part of the Cornerstone. So I'm the head security.
Okay.
You want to get to Eric Dillon. You want to get to Scott Levesque. You want to get to you want to get to Sean Candido. You want to get to Kevin Castro. You got to go through me.
Oh.
For a while, they were just referring to me as head of security, and until recently, they've name dropped me as Johnny Pierce. So, head of security, Johnny Pierce, the Cornerstone, and then you can get to the rest of them. Our maestro on the mic, the magician with the words, best manager in indie wrestling right now, Kevin Castro. We have superstar Sean Candido. He's been curb stomping everybody, and we also have the Kid Reflex, Eric Dillon. He's just wild. You never know what he's going to do. Very unpredictable. And then you have, the muscle, which is sensational Scott Levesque. Toughest SOB I know. Toughest son of a bitch I know. And we make a pretty formidable team when we're all on the same page. The hoods have been, messing with our business, getting in our way. And slowly but surely, we've been picking them apart limb by limb. I went after Davey. I went after Shay Cash. I got Pyro, and I just got Frank Champion. So, you know, there's a job to do. Johnny Pierce is the man for that job.
Wow. Part of the defibrillation that I had to do to myself was the hoods and heavy hitters combined together in a war games surrounded. It's an enclosed cage with weaponry and such, and there's no rules. There's no DQ. I guess the first person to die is the winner. I don't know how it ends, but holy
they're
crap.
going to need all the help they can get. That's what they're going to need.
I know very well of the hoods and said heavy hitters. I've seen their past. I've seen what they can do. That just sounds absolute insane. All of it.
Yeah,
All
it's
of
going
it
to be a
sounds
banger.
okay. Now, Johnny Pierce, you're very young and okay. Let's take. You said it's been about 5 years actively. How long has Johnny Pierce been working right now?
Well, if you count the taping at XWA back in November of 2020, no, we're not at year 2 yet. 1.5 years.
Okay. You've seen the cage matches on multiple different promotions. You've seen the differences. You've seen a War Games. I'm absolutely certain you've seen a War Games because you're a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
My friend, with a year and a half under your belt, we're going to just call it there right now, okay? A year and a half under your belt. You know how ominous those things are. You know, you've heard the announcers. It takes years off of your career. We've all heard in the business the term bump card. That's going to take 1 million bumps off of your card, my friend. Why are you going to get into this? Why?
The thing about Johnny Pierce is, you got a better chance finding out from him than you do from me, right? But he knows what he's afraid of. He knows what he's afraid of, and he also knows what he's not afraid of. He's not afraid of a steel cage. He's not afraid of the hoods, the heavy hitters, and he's not afraid of filling up a bump card.
Wow. All right. And I didn't mean to use terminology.
In order for him to be afraid of this bump card filling up, he'd have to get bumped. And so far, no one has been able to do that. So if you find me that person on that roster to do so, let me know.
Ooh, I'm definitely scared of both said the hoods and heavy hitters. That wasn't me. That was him. That wasn't me saying that stuff. That was Johnny Pierce. So just to reiterate, because I know we've talked a little bit now, just to reiterate, promotion, date, time, bat location, everything. Hit us one more time with that.
Friday, August 26, 2022, at the VFW Post on 119 Middle Street in Fairhaven, Massachusetts, at 7 p.m. In one of the double main events, one of those matches is a steel cage match, War Game style, between the Cornerstone with yours truly and the Hoods and the Heavy Hitters. And if you're a fan of wrestling and you want to see me kick some ass, I think you should be there. $10 for a ticket, general admission, $15 front row.
Wow, very reasonable. Good times in wrestling for a great price. I'm just going to say, because again, I'll reiterate, I know said both teams, good luck. And I know you're a bigger dude than I am, but good luck. My hat's off to you. Let's talk about what we've got going on here with Johnny Pierce. And I know we didn't see whatever per se look you have because you were, a guy off the street. But talk to us about Johnny Pierce. Does this name represent anything? Is it your government name? You don't have to tell us your government name because you don't want weirdos like me, writing to you or trying to look you up on the old, I don't think they use white pages anymore. But anyways, what's with the name? Does it represent anything? Was it a collaboration? Did you come up with it with yourself?
The name came around September of 2020. It was a little bit of a collaborative effort, but predominantly it was my brainchild.
Okay.
I didn't have a gimmick. I didn't have a character picked out. Shout out Danny Miles for keeping me in a creative box. I'm just kidding. I was training with Anthony Katina. Shout out Anthony Katina. He's known as
Okay.
the Amethyst rock star right now. And we
Uh-huh.
were training in Gloucester, Massachusetts. He gave us an assignment towards the end of a training class to take 10 minutes, go outside, think of a character to cut a promo as.
Huh.
So the character originally started out as a rogue FBI detective agent of sorts named John Pierce, who was gonna, he was
Huh.
told to turn in his badge, but was still gonna, do his dirty work anyway, um,
Okay.
like a bounty hunter of sorts. And I was given the feedback from Anthony at the time that it needed to be something that could easily be chanted by any crowd, and John Pierce was too difficult. So he added Johnny. Now, my name's Jonathan, and shorten Jonathan, you get Johnny. And my great uncle was the only one that would call me that when I was growing up. When he passed away, I decided to let everybody else that wanted to call me Johnny to do so. But every time since prior to that was, oh no, you can't call me that. Only my uncle Mike calls me that. As far as Pierce goes, I grew up a Celtics fan. When you had asked me growing up who's the best basketball player in the world before he even won the championship, I was saying Paul Pierce. Why? Because he's the truth. And when he finally won and became MVP of the finals, it kind of solidified my. I know he only did it once, but that's all I really needed. So because my basketball background was factored in, I chose my first name Johnny and his last name Pierce. And
Okay.
to make it a little different, I've always liked the fact that he was called the Truth. Allen Iverson was a huge influence. He was the answer. The way Roddy Piper used to do his promos, where he said, "I don't. You think you know the answers? I change the questions." Right. Even like the Riddler from Batman with the question mark was always something I gravitated towards.
Okay.
Um, our truth. I've always been a fan of our truth. Stone Cold Steve Austin, huge fan of Stone Cold. So I'm trying to think of a moniker for this character, and I decided to lately I've been deciding to just lean into it. So I leaned into Johnny Pierce, and I got to know like who he is and what he's all about. And he's the cold hard truth. The cold hard truth, Johnny Pierce. He's the cold hard truth of pro wrestling.
Okay.
Um, he's convinced himself that the only person he can trust is himself. Um, so therefore, you've seen me in action. I turned on my tag partner Jiggy Sosa. I don't think I can trust him. And Buff Dad right now, while the money's good, they've decided to conduct business with me. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much where the character's going. The look right now is a singlet. I've been told that I
Oh.
shouldn't wear it because it doesn't show me off that well, and I'm working on some new stuff, but it's been a slow process.
Okay. Well, good luck with the gear because I'm sure once you get adjusted a little bit and get some really solid gear on yourself, man, you're gonna look like $1,000,000, my man. Because
Yeah,
like I've already stated probably a couple of times, you have a look, uh, about you, especially with the height and the physique, and these gorgeous boys and girls. But it seems like you've taken on what they call, the heel, the bat. Well,
sorry
we
about
lost
that.
me. We lost Mr. Pierce.
Right there.
It seems that you've taken on the bad guy portion of the program here.
Yeah, yeah.
Why this?
I mean, it's easy. I'm a nice guy. Like I think if you get to know me, I'm a nice guy, and it's easy for me to go out there and flip this switch of being the bad guy because I spend my whole shoot life just trying to spread kindness and be nice to people. It doesn't always work out in my favor. I think a lot of times people mistake my kindness for a weakness or something. But this bad guy character, I just I got bullied growing up. I got bullied. I was short. I was fat. I got punked. I got bullied. I had high school bullies slam me into lockers and steal my lunch money. I got bullied. It made me who I am today. I don't regret a damn thing.
All right.
Um, Now that I'm big and tall, nobody bullies me. And so this character is the bully. He goes out and he's just out for revenge on everyone that, gets in his way.
All right. Fair. Like I said, even previous to us trying to connect here, whatever time you need, you're a bigger dude than me. Take your time.
It wasn't my fault. I got out of work early. We had technical difficulties.
I can just see Johnny Pierce's face when he saw my response. It was.
Oh, thank God.
it was no problem. You're bigger than me, my man. Take your time.
This is working out perfectly.
I want to go back to almost not to the total beginning, but there was something that you mentioned, and I'd be remiss if I did not pull it out and save it in my one little brain cell and pull it back out so we can revisit it.
Yeah.
Did you say you do a Jim Ross impression?
I do. It's not very good, but
could you please hit us with it? Yeah, give us the backstory, and could you please hit us with it?
A couple years ago, before I was like really getting into wrestling, I would stream the video games and play my universe, and I tried my hardest to make sure I had the best roster updates. I used to spend hours just trying to make sure that like I was giving the best stream to my few viewers that I had. I didn't want any downloaded superstars that I felt were not accurate. I tried to get the best the best entrance, the best move set, and give them the best, game that I could stream. And when I used to narrate certain matches, I would do it as Jim Ross. So I'll try to get one out. We'll see.
Hey, you could take your time and just take a deep breath and really mold into it. Whatever.
By God, someone get a referee out here. This is just madness.
It sounds like a big Jim Ross, but he does have it sounds like a big Jim Ross, but it does have that Jim Ross effect. Thank you for sharing. I can't believe I got him to do it, boys and girls. That's awesome. I've been waiting on that one. I've been sitting on it. Oh, goodness. Now I've seen you in Connecticut. You're talking about working in Fairhaven, Mass. That's a good solid couple, probably 2.5, maybe even working towards.
Where have you seen me in Connecticut?
Huh? What? I'm sorry. In Massachusetts. I'm sorry. See, Shut Up and Wrestle is like my home away from home, so it just seems like I'm still in Connecticut. I am so sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. I was going to say I'd like to get down to Connecticut, so a place.
I've seen you in Massachusetts in Holyoke. You're working over in Fairhaven, which is like Holyoke is only an hour. Fairhaven for me is probably like 2.5, 3 hours.
And then how far was Newburyport?
Newburyport is like at least 3 hours because we did a road trip and stayed overnight.
Yeah, I've been to Newburyport, West Warwick, Rhode Island, New Bedford, which is I guess the same as Fairhaven.
Okay.
And then I was up in Maine. I've been up to Maine a few times, different parts of Maine.
For what promotions, if you don't mind sharing?
One of them is called Main Event Wrestling. I managed a tag team there in the main event because, you oftentimes find Johnny Pierce somewhere around the main event involved. Hey. It's just the way it is. And then another one was North Atlantic Wrestling Association, NAWA, where I've been helping out, over there with different people that need a bodyguard. Okay.
You did happen, and I'm so glad you, because again, I only have one brain cell. You just triggered something here. There was a question or a statement, I guess, if you will, and I don't remember it verbatim, but I think you might have seen it from one. Lee Edward Miller talking about NAWA and some kind of club or something.
Some kind of what?
Was it a club or I forget his exact.
Gino's Rock Club. Yeah, he wanted to know about that.
Okay, yeah.
It's a blast. I've been going up there when they had their last few shows. I think it's been 2 or 3 now. I think it's my favorite venue. 21 over, I believe, because of the
Okay.
the bar aspect. They get the ring inside the bar. The lighting is incredible. The crowd is just electric all night long. It's a hot crowd. I got a funny story to share with you.
Please do.
I don't know if this is what he's referring to, but I will say that anytime I've needed advice, or just someone to talk to, Lee's always been there to you know school me and give me advice and just talk to
Awesome.
me, and it's been nice. One of the matches over there, and I didn't even talk about this when I talked about how I got into wrestling. I was a bit of a drinker, um, not so much the casual type either, more of like the drink to get drunk, and if I didn't have to drive, I was getting wasted. Um, so when I decided to enter wrestling at my age, which was 26, 27 years old, I got alcohol out of my system, and I've been sober for 5 going on 6 years, which is coming up when this probably airs. So the funny story is that I was out there healing it up as the manager for uh, Larry's stepson, Larry Huntley, and one of the fans, as we were leaving, threw their drink at me, and I was dressed in like this really nice jersey, and it hit me in the chest, and it kind of just dribbled. It wasn't like the whole drink; it was like enough to like, I'll be honest with you, it pissed me the fuck off. So I look down and I think to myself, like, I can act one of two ways right now. I can make this a thing, or I can just be a pro.
Mhm.
And so I picked up the cup. I looked at the crowd from where I thought it was hurled from, and I said, "Somebody drop this!" And then I stormed off. Um, but I don't know if that's what Lee's referring to, because I got a nice stern talking to, and I hope that anyone that listens to this podcast episode can learn from this mistake of mine, which again has happened a few times before. I've made some mistakes, just getting in my way. I went out through the curtain wearing what I wanted to wear and didn't ask permission to wear it. So if that's what he's referring to, then here we are.
Uh,
Um, but I learned my lesson. So don't do
uh,
that.
well, thank you for sharing all of that. And because there was a few topics that you covered right there, and I'm just going to say, learning from the mistakes. Those are these experiences that you gain from event to event, from promotion to promotion, and just gaining. And it's again, it's not always what's in the ring. There's so many tools to being a professional wrestler, so it's not always about your move set. So there's so many other things that surround that obviously that obviously being a very big one right there. But these are the things that you learn, as you're an athlete and upcoming in the industry of wrestling. So uh, now you spoke of, you did train at XW, or you didn't get the chance to at the
Oh,
time?
I trained there. We merged
Okay.
the school I was at with Anthony Cattina, which he was referring to as Al Snow Wrestling Academy New England. That it
Okay.
just didn't take off the way we planned it. We had merged with the Kingdom, which was at the time Matt Taven, Vinny Marcilia, and Mike Bennett was at once a trainer there, but he had stepped away. And then shortly after that, Taven had moved to Florida, so it was pretty much Vinny Marcilia, and sometimes we would have the luxury of Ryan Drew coming by, Ryan Waters, H2O Ryan Waters as a guest
Yes.
trainer. So I
Yes.
trained there for a long time. It's just I had lost my job, and I needed to step away and get my feet back on track.
Okay.
Um, so when I came back, it just so happened I got the last class before they shut down. It went like this.
Oh.
It was the craziest thing. I messaged them and I was like, I'm looking to come back, and I heard nothing. I heard crickets, and I blew them up. I went email, Facebook, phone, you name it. I was contacting them, and I'm like, I got to come back over here and train. So it got to the point where I would just show up. This wasn't no short drive for me. I'm just showing up without knowing what I'm going to drop in on. And so I'd miss them where I thought they would be there, and they weren't. And then I finally caught them where they were running a class, and it was a guest trainer. I think Jason Blade at the time. Is that
Okay.
Jason Blade? Um, and so I spoke to him. I said, I used to train here. I know you're the trainer right now. Like, is it okay if I hop into class and I'll just, pay whoever I got to pay? But like, I got to train. And they're like, yeah, this is the last class though before we shut down. I'm like, okay. And I trained. JT Dunn and Trigger the OG were there, Triplicious. It was a great night. And then the following night, they had their last Thursday night throwdown. And I was backstage for that, soaking it all in. And it was a special moment for all those guys. And I'm just thankful I was there to like share it with them. I would have obviously loved to have been on the card, but I understand how things go. So yeah, I spent a good few months, I would say 3-4 months training at XWA. I got an opportunity to do a taping for NEW, Northeast Wrestling.
Yeah.
So I was like doing all the backstage stuff for them, and without the bonds I made over there, I wouldn't have had that kind of opportunity.
Awesome.
Buff Inc. That's where that started.
Because why do you have to keep mentioning that?
I'm wearing this shirt.
I know, I can see. Now, NEW, I just want to spin back to that. At the time when the pandemic shut everything down, wrestling amongst the world, little by little, there was some companies that were doing their own private studio tapings, if you will.
That's
NEW, Northeast Wrestling, started doing theirs at the XWA event center.
Yeah, that's where I was.
Man, and I was watching those as they were progressing. Man, that looked like good times over there.
Yeah.
Now I'm assuming the way you've been speaking and how I, asked if you're a fan and all of that stuff and your responses and whatnot, I'm assuming that you've watched the current product and you kind of, oh wow, that's a flip of the switch.
Yeah, I'm far behind. So I'm a psychopath when it comes to it. Everyone that I talk to is like, hey, just jump in where right now. You'll be fine. You didn't miss anything. But because I'm stuck and I'm trying to play catch up, I still need to watch like the Royal Rumble from January. I have the weeks building up to it, but I have to watch each one, and I can't like skip ahead because I just have to know how it happened, and so not as much as I used to be because I'm busy and I'm just trying to get my own career going. But I think eventually I'll catch back up and get back into the product.
All right. I give each episode their own flavor. I almost want to call this, I'm a psychopath about it. With your pop, I think we're just going to keep that.
There you go. I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, because I mean, shoot, I'm not always right. If you want to make it in this biz, in this industry, you kind of have to be a psycho about it. Like a lot of the decisions I make every day are because of this. Like even in my shoot life, like the food I put into my body, the beverages, the sleep schedule, the training regimen,
all surrounds,
car rides,
all surrounds wrestling.
A lot of decisions I make, and people want to, say, oh, he doesn't work as hard as he says he does. Well, that's fine. You can think that, but I have quite the inventory I can always go to. I have like a fitness thing I'm working on called Nobody Cares Fitness.
Okay.
It's the concept of nobody cares, work harder. When my vision for it is when you hit your fitness goals, that's awesome. Recognize that it's awesome, but it's all about what you do next. How do you go forward? Is it about staying here and being complacent? Is it about taking a step backward? No, it's about, okay, you just hit a personal record. What's the next one?
That kind of would bring me, and I don't want to be wrong again because I was just wrong a second ago. That would bring me to, are you looking to do this for your job, your livelihood, for yourself, for your family? Or is this something, you'd be comfortable on the independent level? Where are you at with this?
I'm very uncomfortable staying in New England. I have goals to be worldwide. I have goals to get signed to a major company. When I first got into the business, it was WWE, WWE, WWE. things have obviously changed. Doors have opened all across the place. So right now, it's like if I feel comfortable enough to sign with a major company that's not WWE, then I'll do that. But if I make it to WWE, that'll be awesome too. But I want to make this a career. I want to make this my life. I at some point would like to leave my shoot job and just wrestle all the time, but still working out a few kinks with the character I'm working on, with making sure I can network. And you've seen it a little bit where I just shut up and wrestle, and I'm over here, I'm over there. So I just got to put myself in those positions, basically.
That's one of the tools that's very, very underrated, is that networking, especially nowadays with the social medias. And I know not everybody answers. Believe me, I go through it so many times. I've got so many no cells just sitting in my messenger.
I believe it.
But with the technology, with the technology we have, it is more accessible. So that is definitely one of those tools that surrounds the in-ring moveset that is underrated, I feel, and sometimes underutilized, is just making face and doing that network. And not even, you can have your gear all you want. Even just having the mindset of, I know I might not work tonight. There may be an open spot, but I know I might not work tonight. But at least I can maybe talk to some of the guys, some of the girls. I might be able to talk to the promoter. We might be able to shoot the shit a little bit. Might be able to come back next show, or even help them clean up after this show, or anything. As Uncle Bob, I always use this. As Uncle Bob Evans, what can I do to make your show better?
I can speak on that. I've done ring crew for a lot of promotions, for many years. And so if you're one of those newer people in wrestling that think you don't got to do ring crew and things are just going to be handed to you, you're wrong.
And a nice little nutshell right there too. I thought that was going to extend for a bit. No, very, very well said in a short little sentence here. Seeing the older guy, well, not older, just guys that have been in the business a little bit. We've already talked like the Stephen Lusts, the Mike Monteros. You were talking the advice you get from guys like Danny Miles.
Yeah.
Taking that knowledge, taking their advice, sifting it, what you feel is, should be accepted or maybe filtered through or whatever. That's got to be really, really cool stuff to kind of get those peers behind you, and that's part of that support system that I like to speak about,
Yeah, I mean, what I try to do is anytime I'm offered advice, and I feel like it's good advice, I'll just take it upon myself to try to pass it on. I try to pass it down to anyone that's willing to listen. As far as the support from your peers, you can try to seek it, but they'll give it or they won't give it. And some people haven't. That's fine. It's all about putting yourself in the right situation with the right people at the right time. And so I'll just keep doing that.
All right.
Everybody wants to be liked, and I want to be liked too. But you don't have to. If you don't like me, you don't have to like me.
Well, you keep hanging with Buff Inc., and I don't think anybody will like you. So that's already taken care of.
You're not like his face. Come on.
I think we lost his video.
I'm back.
All right. We've been talking for just under an hour. We're at about the 59-minute mark here, and we've pulled. Holy cow! I think we just lost him again. Oh, there he is. We've pulled a lot of information on a very young tenured right now, year and a half-ish, young tenured Johnny Pierce. So instead of pulling everything that I possibly could, maybe we can have a return, see what Johnny Pierce is up to.
Absolutely,
maybe another 6 months or so down the road.
I just want to say I'm really happy to have done this. I was foaming at the mouth to get on my first podcast, and I had to go to you. I had to say, hey, how do we make this happen? And you made it happen for me. I appreciate that. I do want to shout out one of my friends real quick. He actually wants to come on to the show. Ref Ronnie Maestro. and he's actually gave me some shit because I went on without him. So I said, hey man, if I do a good enough job and I can get back on, because I know you've had guests on before multiple times from watching the Fly Guy episode, Fly Night.
Yes, sir.
That's just his second one, and so I'm hoping for a second one with you. If I can bring other people to you or on the show, then sure I will.
I would absolutely love that. Please send your reference my way. Please, we did a zebra week when I really first started getting this thing rolling on Skype. I would love it. Yes, please. Ring announcers, valets, bell ringers, timekeepers, referees, you name it. If you're part of the business, I'm here. STP is an open forum for everyone. I love all of it. That's what we do. We have to showcase and uplift everybody, my man. It's not only about the wrestlers.
I do that really well.
You do, especially with Two Buffs. Do that more often. That'd be fantastic.
Someday, I hope he doesn't cross me, because someday I might just have him up there, and then
that would just warm my heart, warm my cockles. Yes. Before I do let you go, I want to thank you so much for spending the time with us. Being comfortable, being open, giving us some information about Johnny Pierce, even about his life. But there is one thing I want to ask you, because sometimes it does tie it in with an upcoming wrestler and what they're trying to accomplish. Yeah. You've been mentioning a couple times that you were in basketball there for a while. Yeah. Now, do you feel, because let's be honest, I'm built like a candle. I'm not getting in that ring. I'm not an athlete. Do you feel that this previous sports tenure, being in basketball, has helped you along the way in becoming a wrestler?
A little bit, yes and no. So like the easy answer would be like, yes, it has. But the more you dig into it, you realize that, it's sometimes seen as like a deterrence, or like, oh, he's not from wrestling, he's from basketball, so that's why he looks the way he does, or conducts himself the way he does. Sometimes I get this reputation that I'm a basketball player, I'm not a wrestler. As far as like conditioning goes, wrestling has been way more challenging for me than any sort of basketball training I've ever done, or practice, game, workout. That being said, it's made things a little easier for me to go to a wrestling class and perform the drills and live the lifestyle. So I'll say yes and no.
All right. I appreciate that answer. Again, boys and girls, very candid, very open. Hung out, a couple guys talking wrestling, talking some Johnny Pierce. We had an amazing hour with our new but we're going to see down the line if he's still our friend. We'll figure all of that out in the upcoming events. We'll see where that goes. But are we going to see you at another Shut Up and Wrestle in the future? Because, again, maybe. That's my home away from home, besides PAPW.
Maybe. Who knows?
All right. Okay. And again, Connecticut promoters, bookers, agents, however you want to perceive yourselves. We have all sorts of promotions that have actually been popping up recently in the past 2, 3, 4 months in Connecticut. So before I name the new ones, we've had Test of Strength, we've had Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, we've had Blitzkrieg Pro Wrestling. We obviously Northeast Wrestling. Their home is in Bethany, but now we're getting the likes of a brand spanking new one called Tetsu Pro Wrestling. They're doing a charity show to open up their debut at the North Haven Fairgrounds in Connecticut. That's a brand spanking new one. There's one that's only a couple years old, Blood, Sweat, Tears. They're out of Bridgeport. We also have another new one that's popped up. They've had their second show that I just went to. My love, Cindy Hart, just debuted there. Coliseum Pro Wrestling out of West Haven. We saw the debut of Sacrifice Glory Wrestling, Sacrifice Glory Wrestling, I believe. They've only had one show. If they make a return, they said they would. We'll see how that goes. But there's I'm winded. There's quite a bit in Connecticut, my man, is what I'm really driving at. And I didn't mean to really list those off, but that kind of gives you a sense of how many promotions right now are kind of working their way in Connecticut. So, and another brand new one. Oh, this guy would kick my ass if I didn't mention this one. ECPWCT. It's a New York City promotion that's come off of hiatus and made their way to Connecticut and made their home base in Connecticut. So that's another new one. Glad I remembered that one. I would have got my ass kicked on that. Yes. Give my man Johnny Pierce a call over here. Looks good. The ladies love him. He likes his money. So, you just got to, give him a good price there, good rate, because he doesn't kick ass for free. So let's just put that in perspective. Give him a ring ding. Look up some Johnny Pierce. So before we do let you go, give us your Twitter, your Insta, your Facebook, your Pornhub, your OnlyFans, whatever you got. Hit us, my man.
All right. I can't give out the Pornhub or the OnlyFans. I'm contractually obligated. So it's a whole thing. A lot of paperwork. It would take too long.
Okay. I won't pry.
Twitter, Instagram, _Johnny_Pierce_. I know it's annoying, but there's a reason for the underscores. Everything that I do as Johnny Pierce is for a reason. The underscores stand for CHT, Cold Hard Truth. If you dig deep enough, you'll figure it out. On Twitter, I tweet a certain way. If you don't like it, tough. Facebook, Johnny Pierce. Yeah. So if you're one of those promoters, bookers, and you want a 6'6", 280-pound monster on your roster, you know what to do. Book Johnny Pierce at gmail.com.
Wow. I did not realize you were that big standing next to you. Holy shit. And I know you're a big dude, and I probably told you 30 times shut up and wrestle. The gun show. Holy shit sticks.
I don't have a license for those.
I'm sure you don't. I hope I don't get monetized for that. Whoever it may be. Mr. Pierce, a pleasure and honor. Thank you for coming on the platform and
Don
sharing
Kincaid,
your story.
thank you for having me on Stirring the Pot.
Yes.
Awesome. I hope I can come back.
Yes, absolutely. Again, boys and girls, a first. This is his first interview. We've had the likes of Jack Dawn. We've had the likes of Skylar Gray. We have now had the likes of I'm sorry. Johnny Pierce. I did not expect to have this being his first. Whenever he told me pre-hitting record, I was like, you got to be kidding.
I wanted it to be like the right person under the right circumstances. I had a few offers to do one. It just didn't feel right. We didn't mesh or connect. And, I obviously knew, like, meeting you ahead of time, that this would be the right one.
Oh, the love. We end with love, boys and girls. That's the way we like it around here. What an hour with our new friend, Johnny Pierce. Thank you so much for spending the time. I know I've said that a few times, but
that's the cold, hard truth.
With that being said, this is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Johnny Pierce. Thank you.
Thank you for